Welcome to Brunch with Besties podcast.
Hey guys.
I am Sherry Renee.
And I am Chanel.
Our mission is to heal and help others as we heal and help ourselves through purpose-driven conversations.
Yes.
Today we are joined back with our special guest, Willis Cooks.
Yes. Hey, Willis, what's up?
What's going on, peoples?
I'm glad to have you back.
Yeah, I am doing well. How are you doing?
We are doing well.
Yes.
So Willis Cooks is from Chill Will Radio, and we had to bring him back for the one time.
Yes, we did.
during this double up month for us. We're going to talk about Black men and mental health yet again. We had some things that we wanted to discuss that we didn't have time to discuss on the last episode. But before we get into that, we're going to start like we always do with a toast. So Chanel, who are you toasting to today?
Yeah, it's really hard for me to find anything to toast to with just everything that's happening. But I'll give my toast to the Milwaukee Bucks, who was the first team in the NBA to decide today that they were going to boycott and not play any playoff games. Yeah, they did, due to the injustices that we're experiencing. But most recently with Jacob Blake, who was shot 7 times by Kenosha Police Department. In the back, so
in front of his kids,
in front of his children.
Let me calm down. Go ahead. This is your toast, not mine.
It's okay. But no, and we're just sick of it. So shout out again to the Bucks for leading and really being activists and using that organization and their platform to make these really important decisions. So we gonna sit out. Y'all don't hear us now. Y'all won't see us.
Yo, they really did that though.
They did.
They did.
No, that's dope. Because I was really thinking about. These teams wearing all these shirts and everything, but ain't none of them going to sit out a game. And this whole team, guys.
The whole team.
Yeah, apparently the other team showed up and everything.
Yeah.
So, but they just stayed in their locker room. They was like, you know what? We're actually not going to play today.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Y'all gonna look like the assholes.
Exactly. So now some other teams are following suit, but I wanted to be clear that the Milwaukee Bucks, was the first team to be like, we not playing.
Milwaukee. Huh?
There you go. I mean,
we gotta, you know what? We gotta be known for something great.
Right.
We over here killing people or attempting to kill people at close range in front of their kids, and their kids are saying, "Grandma, the police shot my dad."
So
that's horrible.
We needed some good news.
But Willis Cooks,
who are you giving your toast?
Who are you giving your toast to?
My toast is to just being free. I'll say that because we were speaking about this before the show. Me going skydiving, and the reason why I do it is one part is to kind of like clear my mind, but also it helps me be like free. The whole sensation of feeling free, and you have nothing to, outside of like hitting the ground, but you have nothing to really worry about in this moment. And that's like a very freeing feeling. So toast to being free.
All right.
Yeah.
My toast goes to the Brewers who followed suit with the Bucks.
Yes.
So
shout out Milwaukee.
Shouts out to Milwaukee for leading and taking a stand, because Milwaukee is one of the most segregated cities in the United States. So it's good that these teams are using their platform to sit out and say, you know what, enough is enough. We don't stand for it. And since y'all don't hear us, apparently, it's time for us to take it a step further. So we will continue to escalate until there's change. So I agree that the Bucks are the leader, and I'm glad that the Brewers said we will go ahead and follow suit, because you don't get no more white than
the Brewers.
You don't get no more white than baseball.
Yeah, it's pretty white.
They say it's America's favorite pastime, but I would say,
hey, white American.
It's white America's favorite pastime.
Just to be clear.
Have y'all ever been to a Brewers game? I went one time.
I mean,
I'm with the tailgate. I'll do the tailgate.
Yes, it's great.
But I have never, like, when I go to a game, I got to get up, move around, and not watch the game because it's the driest thing ever. I don't understand.
So boring.
But in any case, they chose to say we're not going to participate in this dry ass sport. We ain't doing it today. So, you got to use whatever you have.
Yes.
And I'm thankful that people are using what it is that they have. And we will continue to use our platform because that is what we have.
Yeah. That's good.
It's just what we have, and that's it.
Yep.
And also, I'm going to take this time also to, call out the other injustices in Milwaukee. Alvin Cole,
Yeah.
Joseph Mensah, his killer, his murderer, is still free and actually trying to make himself the victim. I'm not going to get into all of that, but we're still looking for justice there. And then same thing with Joel Acevedo. You know what I mean? He was strangled to death for 10 minutes by the hands of a police officer who was off duty. And you know what? We still don't have justice. So that's just a couple things going on in Milwaukee. So I'm glad to hear.
I'm glad you brought those up, because what's shown in the media is like overshadows everything that kind of is going on. Like, this is one small little microscope over like everything that happened, because those two individuals, she just stated, I knew nothing about it. Those
Never
names
heard about it
to me at all. So it's a reminder that what's on TV is just the one thing that's on TV. It's not everything else that's not shown at all.
Absolutely, because the people that oppress us control the media. So there's that. But I digress.
Yeah, and I would agree, Chanel. It has been rough, and I can only imagine what it's like for the actual families.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll say that I was listening to the sister speak, and she was saying, people keep reaching out to me saying, I'm sorry to hear what happened to your family. But she was like, I don't want your pity. I don't want your sorrow. This has been happening to my family. It happened to my family when it happened to Emmett Till. It happened to my family when, you know what I mean? She just went down the list. When it happened to Breonna Taylor, it happened to my family.
Yeah.
So this is not new. Let's not all be all shocked and, offer your sympathy.
That part.
Give me your action.
Absolutely.
What are you going to do? So we will move on, because if not, Janelle and I will find ourselves in a place. Although maybe we can do that because you're a therapist.
Right.
So maybe we can do that. I don't know.
That's what I was hoping for, Willis. To be honest with you, I might need a session because I'm angry. So I got some more in my breaking bread because I'm not done being mad. So there's that.
It's okay.
And it's so funny because I feel like the emotions are all over the place. Like, I know that one night in the group chat, like I was just going in and I was like, okay, let me stop. I know I'm going overboard. I'm getting into my lower self, and part of it too is because people legit be commenting on our stuff. So we did have those two young ladies. We had the sisters of those two individuals, Joel Acevedo and Alvin Cole, on the podcast, and people literally be sending all kind of hate stuff.
Yes.
Like, I'll be having to block, delete, and do the most. And when they say what they say, initially I was going back and forth with them. I can't even lie. I'm not even one to go back and forth with people. I don't do that. But it was just so sickening.
Yeah.
Their rationale was just so off. And I was just like, oh, I got time.
Today.
I got time. I have time today. But then after a while, I was like, you know what? You cannot make sense to somebody who's irrational. You can't do it. And also, I was watching the live of Jacob Blake and the stuff people are saying. I'm like,
ridiculous.
Are you serious?
Ridiculous. It always comes back to, oh, well, he's a criminal or he's this, or like just trying to demonize. He's the victim. Hey, Podfather. But he's absolutely the victim in all of this. And it's so disheartening that, this country, they try to put blinders on everybody, like, well, racism doesn't exist. Like, there are some good police and blah. Where are these good police that you all keep bringing up?
Because there were 7 out there. I just want to point that out. So if I'm not, you know what? I agree that there are good police. Like, I don't want that to be my message. But I have to say that when you see 7 people operate as if they're in a gang, and as if they're the thugs, then how come we never call them what they're acting like?
Exactly.
Why is Jacob the criminal? Why was Alvin the criminal? He's a kid.
Right.
He's a child. He was a kid.
Yes, and they have failed to forget that. But the guy who shot up the protesters today, oh, he's a kid. He was 17. No, that was a man who knew what he was doing.
Who intentionally came and shot
did that.
2 people right in plain view, in plain sight.
There's no little or child. He gets none of that from me.
And then they wanted to use a picture,
girl,
when they reported it, of someone who was not white.
A black person, a black man. Like, what?
And it's like, why use his photo?
Again.
But okay, we're going. So now we're going to move into breaking bread. We're going to check in, Chanel.
I needed that second to vent real quick.
We did.
We just had to vent. Chanel, how are you doing? Let's break bread.
Yeah, I'm not okay, and I'm gonna keep it 100 with everybody. I am not okay. I'm just tired of this country, and I'm tired of white people to just be 100. Like, I'm sick of it. Just hearing about the guy who decided to come to a protest with a rifle, walked around freely. Police didn't say nothing to him. They thanked him and gave him water and this and that. And he murdered 2 people at a protest, injured another, walked freely away. No arrest was made, no nothing. But then we see people like Jacob Blake and Alvin Cole and Joel Acevedo and so many other people where they're like, well, they were resisting arrest. They were doing this. Police know damn well how to apprehend the bad person or whoever is in custody. They know how to do it. So stop running that narrative that we're resisting arrest, we're doing this. Say what it is. We're Black. Our lives don't matter. Just say, I'm tired of the let's beat around the bush, let's sugarcoat stuff. Let's just start saying what it is. And that is what it is. And I'm sick of it. So all day today, like, I literally had to walk out of a PD. Like, that's how upset I was when I saw that this morning. Because I'm thinking, like, this not real. Like, that didn't really happen in Kenosha. Like, I drive to Kenosha every weekend to take my son to play basketball. I'm there often. So to see that this is happening, like, down, literally, it's about 50 minutes away from Milwaukee, literally. And to see that this is happening where this dude just decided to shoot some people with an AR. It was illegal. Like, it's illegal for anybody under 18 to carry an open weapon in Wisconsin. That's illegal. So the police already didn't do their due diligence of saying, hey, let me see your ID. Let me make sure that it's okay for you to even have your weapon out. They could have saved 2 lives right then and right there. But what's happening is the police are, again, Black lives don't matter.
Whose life did they take?
Exactly. Black lives don't matter to police. And I feel like Kanye West after Katrina. Obviously this country don't care about Black people. They never have. This country was started on the demonizing of Black people from the inception of this country. So this country does not care about Black people. And I'm at the point where I'm tired of asking for equality. I'm tired of asking for things. At this point, separate but equal me. I'm okay with being around people who look like me, and that's cool. That's good enough for me. And that's exactly how I feel right now. So I'm very much overwhelmed. I feel like I need to scream. I think I'm going to cry. Like, I bury so much where it's just like I don't allow myself to feel my feelings sometimes. But today I'm just like, enough is enough. Mm-hmm. Enough is enough. Because while today is Jacob Blake, tomorrow it could be my nephew who's almost 19 years old. Then a couple years from now it could be my son. I'm sick of this. Like, it's too much.
Mm-hmm. And I think, you finished? You done?
Yes, I'm finished.
I think obviously those emotions are warranted. Those emotions are needed. I appreciate you for actually getting those out like that, and not just saying like I'm just pissed off and I'm just mad, because you were literally like 5 seconds away from crying. Like, I could see.
Yes, it was coming.
So I appreciate you for doing that. In regards to kind of everything that's going on, we have to be extremely mindful of how much we are staying away from this. I think I don't understand why this still surprises people. I don't understand why we still try to get equality, try to aim for being at peace with one another, trying to aim for like all of these integrated things. Like, it has been proven and shown that that's just not the way certain people want it to be. And it's okay if we are separate. It's okay if I'm not fucking with that white person, right? I tell people all the time, like, these videos that are on Instagram, people always say like, hey, it's important that everybody knows what's going on, know the message and all of these things. But also on the other end, we have to see that these are videos that the white people are putting out there to say like, hey, nigga, remember your place, because what's happening is we're all watching like a lynching. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
right, and nothing is going on, and what that's doing to us, it's making us angry, and we don't know how to properly get that anger out, because we can't get that anger out onto the person that looks like that is a white person. We can't get that anger out onto the people who done did that, because we ourselves are going to be locked up. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we have to make sure we do is just to like back away from this. right? The process that you were speaking about, the two individuals that you also spoken about, I knew nothing about it. Why? Because when I hear this, I'm making an issue to distance myself away from it, right? Because I get in the mode to where it's like fuck white people, right? Keith already think I'm racist, but I am like super fuck all white people, because the anger that's inside of me that I have not been able to fully get out, right? A lot of us sometimes want to punch a white person. A lot of us sometimes want to go out and beat white people up. But we're at a place to where right now we got to understand that just for our own personal sanity, what's best for us is to kind of back away from it. I know a lot of therapists or a lot of people who may disagree and say, hey, we need to put the message out there. But at the end of the day, we have to stop trying to reach this kumbaya moment. Like, this shit is not going to happen anytime soon. And I think that's something we consistently fight for. And we haven't accepted that they don't want no kumbaya moment. So why are we putting so much energy towards getting it?
Yeah, that's out. And I get it. Like, definitely protect your peace. You have to protect your peace. And I'm at the point where I do try to censor a lot of what I see online just because it is so much. But you see it and you see it. It's forever. Now I got that file in my head. I know what this looks like. So it's just triggering as hell. And I'm to the point where I'm just so exhausted and tired of it all. That's all I got.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
What's going on? I know some more is coming. We are just, woo! It's so, girl.
And the fact that I think it's important that if we don't have the feelings to say, if we don't have the words to say how we feel, like, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
I have the problem is this. I want to censor myself because I don't want to deal with that. But then I also feel like, how dare you not know what's going on in your own city?
Yeah.
Like, when I found out about Joel Acevedo and about Alvin, I was just like, wow, this happened right here.
Yeah.
Where were we? You know what I'm saying? Like, we should have showed up for them more. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we're learning about them after George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm thankful that everything got, lumped in together. And I think that's why Jacob Blake is even a hashtag right now, is because of George Floyd. But at the same time, I do watch the videos. I'm not saying that people should or that they shouldn't. I make myself do it because they mattered. And if somebody killed my brother, you gonna watch this damn video. You gonna know his name. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna let nobody get away with that. You don't get to just go on with your life while his has just been shot 7 times in the back. And I think for me, what I don't understand is how you can de-escalate any other situation. A white person could have a bomb, a rifle. They could legit have just murdered 10 people. They could be trying to murder you. And for whatever reason, you can de-escalate this situation. And then I'm sitting here, watching about Jacob Blake. And people are saying, well, nobody's talking about the fact that that black man killed that kid. And I'm like, but didn't he get arrested? Okay,
Immediately,
justice is served.
right?
Like, I don't why don't you I don't understand. Honestly, I'm like, you can't be that stupid. You cannot be this stupid. Like, that's where I'm starting to go. It's either you're literally that stupid or you're really just that racist. It's those two things. Tell me which one it is. Either you're that dumb or you're literally that racist.
Yeah.
Because anytime a black person does anything, they are more than arrested. I would bet you that Jacob has stuff on his record that he didn't even do.
Probably, yeah.
Because Chanel and I have to go out of our way too much to be black women in Milwaukee. We were going to Walgreens the other day. They didn't have what we wanted. We was like, we just gonna buy some just in case, because we don't want to walk. I shouldn't have brought in my purse. Dang. Now we got to buy something because I don't want nobody to think that I even thought about stealing something.
And they were absolutely following us around that store.
Exactly. And that's just too much, because I have a habit of always being somewhere where I'm not supposed to be. I'm always living somewhere where it's not black. We out here, this is not a black area. We're always out of bounds. And whenever you're out of bounds, they will put you back in bounds. So I don't understand. Everybody want to say he's a criminal, and don't get me wrong, maybe he is, but white people are criminals too,
Absolutely.
and they somehow managed to stay alive to see another day.
Right.
So
And,
that's just where I am with it. I agree. You got to protect your peace. I think you have to do whatever works for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it hurts me not to know. It hurts me to have something like that happen and to go on with my day like it just didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even if I can't do something to change it, I feel like it's my responsibility to be aware, because again, if this happened to my nephew, if this happened to my brother, if this happened to my dad, you gonna watch it.
Mm-hmm.
You gonna watch it. I'm gonna make sure you watch it. I don't care what I have to do to make you watch it, but you gonna watch and you gonna know.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that, and essentially that is what's happening. People are so desensitized to it because it's happening so much that they will see it and then just go about their day.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm like, how are you doing that? Because I saw this one video today and I was shook. Like, I couldn't even function after watching it. I'm like, I have to step away, or I'm just gonna start like break down at work. And I have to say one more thing about this, because this really pissed me off. But Kenosha PD, if y'all don't identify this officer that shot this man, like, I know something if that officer's name is not released to the public, because a black man could cross the street wrong and his mugshot is posted, his name is posted, his rap sheet is posted. Come on, these officers are thugs. They're criminals. They're shooting people. Let's arrest them like anybody else. Like, I don't understand. And then the Kenosha police chief is saying how everybody was disobeying curfew and the police needed somebody to help them de-escalate the situation. Are you fucking kidding me?
No.
That y'all needed somebody else to come in to de-escalate for the police? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't eat, like, in my mind, I'm like, this ain't 2020. Like, this can't be our life.
It's 2020.
This is our life.
And I think for me, it's the fact that they're like, oh, we have to put it into context. You guys just saw a piece of a clip, but when a black person does something, they put it out.
The whole thing.
And it is what it is. You judge it by what you see. And in this situation, it's like we want all of these extended courtesies to the officers, and it's like, what needs to happen is legitimately what the good Reverend Al Sharpton said, is they need to be treated the same way a normal civilian
Absolutely.
is. They should be able to have felonies the same way. When you murder somebody and it's not warranted, that's first degree homicide.
Bad.
Like, what the hell? This is how this goes. 1 + 1 = 2. Not if you're an officer, it doesn't. Like, that is just, this immunity is beyond me.
Yeah, how it should be. But we all know that the laws ain't for us. They weren't. The Constitution, like, nothing in America is for black people.
And it's crazy because
that goes into what you were saying earlier in terms of like the whole good cop, bad cop thing, right? I think we seen it earlier this week in which there was like a black cop who spoke about George Floyd, and he ended up getting fired like
I saw that
later. Right. And the thing is, and I have a lot of friends who are police officers, and I've had conversations with them, and the segregation within the police force is way bigger than what we think it is. And a lot of these individuals, they're scared to speak up because they don't want to lose their job. And it's the system itself is racist more than anything else. Right. You have those people who, like you're trying to say, is we give all of these excuses for why this individual is okay for shooting someone several times or shooting someone more than once, shooting someone in general, without understanding the system itself is going to allow that person to get off. The system itself is going to allow that person to get away. So it's a systemic thing that like, for me, I try my best to make sure I don't get angry. Like, that's the biggest thing I try my best to make sure I do, because I can't, as a black male, the one thing that we don't want to do is be angry in public. Right? The one thing any black person don't want to do is be angry.
Right. That's the worst thing you could be.
One thing, I don't want to be angry in public. I don't want to be angry around a lot of my coworkers and things of those sorts, because I understand where my anger goes and I understand where the possibility could go. But that even in itself is a very negative thing, because we're forced to we're forced to be in a position where if I become angry, it's a possibility that I could be killed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't get and
For
cope
having
with
a
the
normal
proper
emotion.
way. You know, having a normal emotion could lead to a death sentence, right? Could lead to jail time, could lead to whatever it is, because you have another white person who doesn't know how to mind their own business and doesn't know how to do just going about their day and let me be me, but they want to act like they're saving the day and call the police and do all of the things which is going to lead me to either jail or, you know, possibly death. But I have to figure out, and a lot of us have to figure out, how are we going to properly get these emotions out? Because it's a mixture of a lot of anger. I mean, a lot of emotions. It's a mixture of you being numb, you not knowing what to say, you being angry, you being sad. And there's no one, there's no correct way to show your emotion within this particular situation. If you are at a place to where you are numb to it, if you are at a place to where you are desensitized to it, you're not, that's not a negative thing for you, right? It may be negative if you're not being able to get it out properly, whether it be venting, whether it be working out, whether it be whatever it is. We just have to make sure we get it out to someone, but we also have to stop reaching our hand out to these white folks for the answer, because we have to understand that what's going on right now, it's not our problem, but we are the victims, right? Racism is not our issue. We are the victims of racist people, right? And I think a lot of us have to understand that us as Black people, you are more than enough when it comes to anything else. You are not the problem when it comes to this. Like Jay Bell, he was not the problem. George Floyd, he is not the problem. But these white folks need to come step aside and look at their own shit. You
Mm-hmm.
know, look at their own shit and stop and be more accountable of everything that they're doing instead of just pushing it off to the next person. You know, and we are getting the brunt of their bullshit ways of not coping with what's going on. You know,
Right.
it's everywhere.
Let's
Yeah.
move into tea time. We are here to actually talk about you, believe it or not.
Right.
So you were here a couple weeks ago and you shared some of your backstory with us. You let us know that you actually ended up growing up in foster care, had a really great foster mother who unfortunately ended up passing away, who you actually sort of watched her pass away.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and then because no one was sort of checking in on you, right? Because they checked on you previously when you first, when she first became your adoptive parent, and said everything's good to go, and then they kind of went away. So
Mm-hmm.
then you ended up actually becoming homeless. So finding lots of ways to make money and things like that, but nonetheless becoming homeless. But like a phoenix from the ashes, you rose and
Seriously.
went on to get your bachelor's degree and then eventually your master's degree. And now you are in the field of social work, um, and also love to do things like jump from planes 8 times, 7 times in one day.
Yes.
And so we sort of wanted to pick up that conversation because, number one, we don't get to hear a lot of Black men openly express hard times in their life or things that they had to overcome, and also, what it took for them to overcome it. And so, number one, a lot of Black men are clearly going through things because they're just trying to stay alive.
Yeah.
So that's a whole thing in itself, trying not to be an endangered species. Um, so what we're hoping today is that you'll share a little bit more insight on that to kind of be a light to someone else who may be experiencing similar things. Tell Keith we said bye. He leaving. Tell him we said all right,
All
dear.
right. All right, then. You out here?
But yeah, so we're hoping that you could just, share some more insight, be a light to those young men that may be listening, and then also for the women so that we can just be aware of some of the unspoken things that men are going through sometimes. A lot of things get classified as sort of female emotions, but emotions are just emotions.
Mm-hmm.
you know, Anger, sadness, joy, pain, whatever. We all have all of them, but sometimes we feel more comfortable accepting certain emotions from certain people.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing from that show, the one word that kept playing in my head, um, probably like a week and a half after the show, was just being disconnected from your emotions or being disconnected from reality, being disconnected from the trauma. Because I never really took a step back to understand and to look at how disconnected I was. Um, because when you're disconnected from things, you don't feel the pain, you don't feel the challenges that come from it, so you don't think that anything is necessarily wrong. So to tell someone to connect or to try to assist someone with connecting with some form of trauma in their life is it's a scary thing, and it opened my eyes to how much I was trying to avoid it. Um, and I've always been aware of the fact that, hey, that I've kind of been avoiding things, but it opened my eyes to how I disconnect emotionally from things today, right? How what was going on yesterday or how what was going on within my teenage and adolescent years, how it's causing me to disconnect from things right now. And I think it's important just for men in general, or just for anybody, but for specifically men, for those individuals who have that past, right? We're supposed to be men. We're supposed to be tough. We're not supposed to cry. We're supposed to have everything taken care of and everything. So we're not taught or we're not even shown that it is a positive or good thing to actually connect with your emotions in some way, because it is a scary thing, demasculating, in a lot of ways. So after that show, I had to take a good step back and at least try to work myself towards being connected to a lot more things today. And in that process, it's been causing me to feel a little unbalanced,
Mm.
right? Only because when you're trying to connect with something that hasn't been connected with in years, you're like, what the fuck is this? It's like it's someone who's just realizing what it is to be sad, or someone who's just realizing what it is to be angry or whatever. It's like, what the hell is this? So for me, these past week and a half, it's kind of been a little, I don't want to say unsteady, but I haven't been level as much, just because I've been in the process of, let me connect towards something. Let me at least say how I'm feeling instead of just saying I'm good. Let me be more mindful that I'm connecting with my emotions internally. Let me be more mindful that I'm connecting with certain people on a more emotional level, um, and get out of something that we were taught or trained to do, um, because it's a tough thing. So it's the things that we go on in the past. We need to make sure we really look at how it's affecting us today, because we're not really sure how much it is.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. So what steps are you taking to do that? Like, what does that look like to make sure that you're, being aware of your feelings and how you
I
feel?
mean, so the first thing is like when people ask me how I'm doing, I always be like, I'm good or I'm
Mm-hmm.
chill. Leave it at that. Just because I don't know how to describe my mood. I don't know how to describe how I'm feeling. Um, that shit gives me anxiety. Like it makes me feel like and weird. And it's ironic because I'm a therapist, right? So I assist people with facilitating their feelings, and I assist people with opening up and things like that. But it's hard for a therapist to listen to therapist advice. Shit, it's even hard for therapists to go to therapy because, especially for men, if you yourself are not have not gotten to the place where you're able to actually listen to your emotions, it's going to be hard for someone to sit there and kind of question you about it. And for me, what I'm trying to make sure I do is give, not make people feel wrong for asking me questions. Because when people start asking me questions, I start to get defensive. I start to act like y'all the police, and why are you asking me all these questions about my feelings and leave me the hell alone and things of those sorts. I'm just trying to making sure I give people the ability to learn more about me, right? So, like the last show, it's easy to speak about, hey, I've been through this, and I was homeless and things of those sorts, because that's the surface level stuff, right? That's the surface level stuff, and it's easy to speak about the surface things. But when we start to get underneath the skin and underneath the covers and really see what's going on down there, that's when a lot of us, a lot of people, not even just men, but a lot of us kind of sit back because we think that our emotions and our feelings don't matter, right? And what's going on today kind of shows us that what we feel don't matter, right? Because it's like, well, what's the point of me expressing my feelings, or what's the point of me being this great person? What's the point of me doing anything when any random time, whenever this white officer feels like he wants to kill somebody or feels like he wants to shoot his gun, he's just gonna put it at me and then go home and be good for that night. You know, so everything that we see in the media makes us feel as if we don't matter. That's another reason why I do my best to try to stay away from it as much as I possibly could. Only because I don't want to get to that place to where it's like, yo, I don't matter. Because I had to work my ass off to get to a place to where I believe that I do matter. And the media will show us that you black man or you black person don't matter, right? The news, it will show us that you don't matter with the way they write things, with the way they show things. And we have to get to a point to where we are becoming our best friends. We are our biggest supporters, and we are the person that are telling ourselves like, hey, we matter every day. Because the next person, what's going on in society, doesn't believe you matter, no matter how many shirts they wear, no matter what they run on these streets, no matter what they say, no matter how many people say they support you, your actions are showing that you don't believe that I matter, right? So take that second to actually take a step back and look at your past to give you a second to really realize how important it was for you to get through the BS yesterday so you could be able to fully function within your dopeness today. And that's just a lot of, I know that was kind of long-winded, but I'm just at a place really right now making sure that I don't get to a spot to where it's like, I don't matter, right?
So last time when we talked, when we got off air, you shared to us that there was a point in your life where you did really feel like you don't matter, right? And I would say that there's, times where a lot of us feel like that, but a lot of us may not necessarily vocalize it. But there was actually a time when you wanted to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
Did you actually try, or was it a thought?
So the way that situation worked out, so giving a little backstory on that, when it comes to this whole aspect of, you don't matter, like I was raised to believe that I was a fuck up. Everything that I touch would either fuck up or I would hear people say like, yo, you're a fuck up, right? So everything in my life kind of was everything in my life that went on right there was a result of me being a fuck up. Homeless, Willis, because you're a fuck up. You're the way you're grieving with your mom is like that because you don't love her, and that's because you're a fuck up, right? You're not able to do this and do that because you're a fuck up, right? So a lot of the things in my life that was going on at that time was because I was fuck up, right? Because I felt and I truly believed that I was a fuck up. So that suicide attempt was a result of me believing that I was a fuck up. So what's the point? So one night I was just all in my emotion, and this is why your emotions can be very, very scary because they can cause you to act and behave like irrationally. They could cause you to do things without fully thinking them through, right? So I can remember it was one night I'm chilling underneath the freeway. It's a lot of people around me, but I'm to myself and I'm mad and all in my head saying, Willis, you're a fuck up because you're homeless. You're a fuck up because you didn't handle your mom's death properly. You're a fuck up because nobody wants you and things of those sorts. So what I did was I had went over to a train station. I had went to a train station and I was told myself like I'm gonna jump out in front of the train that comes. Train was coming. I was literally a few seconds from like doing it, and I literally felt like I'm going to do this. But the thing is like as I'm gonna do it, I literally feel like something pulling me back. At that moment, it was just like, what the fuck is this? I can't move. Looking back at it, God telling me like, hey, this ain't your time, big homie. But it was at that point to where, I felt like I tried to commit suicide, but I couldn't even do that. So the suicide attempt made me feel even worse because
Like I failed at it.
so I'm even more of a fuck up. You can't even
Right.
kill
I
yourself.
fucked up at it. Yeah.
Exactly. But the one thing that allowed me to kind of be okay, I guess, with everything is just disconnect. I didn't, so like when that happened that very next morning, I just went to school as if nothing happened, right? It was years before I even told anybody this, right? There are some family members who still don't know about it because what's the point of putting it out there when nobody is really going to show you any empathy, and people are just really going to show you sympathy, right? It's like what I believe you said, it was Jake Bell's sister or family member who said, like, hey, I don't want all of these sorries and stuff being
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
shown.
Jacob
What are
Blake.
you actually going to
What
do?
exactly?
Exactly. What are you actually going to do? So for me, it was, I don't want people to be like, oh, I'm sorry for you, Willis, that this happened to you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, what are you going to do to assist me? And at that point, I've had to realize that, yo, nobody's going to do anything for you, Willis, but yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to kind of tuck everything away and just move on and disconnect from everything, move on as if it didn't happen. And just go down a path of trying to make sure like you're not a fuck up. Because that's something that still is in my head today. You're a fuck up, you're a fuck up, you're a fuck up. So I work my butt off to make sure that I don't kind of get back into that space.
Yeah.
So then, I would assume that you would say that was probably the lowest moment.
In my life at that point, yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's so suicide is something that Chanel and I have never discussed, but I do know that there's a lot of people who have either thought about it or
Mm-hmm.
attempted. And I remember reading something one time. It said that when people commit suicide, they don't want to die. They just want it to stop. Like they just
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
want whatever it is that they're going through to stop. Would you agree that that's an accurate statement?
It depends on the person, but 9 times out of 10, yeah. It's not about, hey, I want to die. I just want the pain and everything
Mm-hmm.
to
To
cease.
stop. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, it makes sense, right? To literally be alone in the world because you didn't have any connection to your biological family, right? And then, like you said, your stepmom, she was nice, but she ended up passing away. And then literally you're almost abandoned.
Yeah.
Nobody's
Mm-hmm.
coming to check on you. Nothing that you do is right. So then that's something that you're carrying on. And you said even now. So then how do you so for me, I guess I never said it in those words, but I would say not good enough. You're
Mm-hmm.
not good enough. You're not good
Not
enough.
worthy. Yeah.
Now you're not worthy, right? So it sounds different depending on who's saying it, but it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
So for me, that looks like kicking ass in the stuff I do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna do I'm gonna get all the awards. I'm gonna get all the degrees. I'm gonna get all the certifications. Blah blah blah. What does that look like for you?
It's kind of the same thing. Like your personal accolades, like
Mm-hmm.
how are you going to, like, I always say, like, I have this, when I get old and 70, I want to, old as hell at 70 and can't do nothing else, I want to have this wall of all of my little accolades, right? What is your personal trophy case looking like? And for me, when it comes to getting out of that I'm a fuck up space, it's me building up that personal trophy case, building up those personal accolades. So at least you can be able to say you did X, Y, Z, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of the times what life has shown me, and this goes back into what's going on right now, is that you have to stop reaching out for the next man to do something, right? You have to stop reaching out for the next man to help you out with your education, to help you get a job, to help you get some money, to help you. We all have to stop reaching out for something and start to do certain things for ourselves, which is why a lot of the times, in my sessions with clients, I'm really, really big on, us being selfish, right?
Mm-hmm.
Selfish in the sense of you're doing what you have to do for your own personal peace, you putting yourself first. Because in many situations, we give up everything for everybody. And then the second we need something for ourselves, it's kind of like our tank is empty. We
Yeah.
don't even have energy to, help us out with our stuff. So even with like what's going on now, we have to get out of the whole kumbaya thing and white people should do this or white people should do that and things of those sorts. It's like we need to make sure that we are taking care of our tribe as much as possible,
Mm-hmm.
our family as much as possible. And everybody's protest look differently. Everybody's form of advocacy looks differently. But
Mm-hmm.
at the core foundation of it all, the one true form of advocacy is making sure you take care of your people in your own home. And stop trying to reach out for the next person to do something. So for me, it was always about, I need to do this for myself first, despite what anybody else thinks.
Mm-hmm.
So I posted something today. It says if you're looking for that one person to change your life, look in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And that really just coincides with what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
So given that, you and a lot of us have those thoughts, right, either in the past or even now, that essentially say we're not good enough, it makes me wonder, how does that show up for you in relationships?
Oh, you asking real questions. Okay. Uh,
We're actually the Oprah of the good news.
Right? Haven't you heard?
That's what Ladies Night said.
Listen.
real questions. Well, so in my current relationship right now, the biggest thing that I'm working on is not disconnecting. Like disconnection is a very, very big thing for me in my life because it's my scapegoat. It's my
Mm-hmm.
disconnect from anybody real quick, easily. So the one thing I'm working on right now is making sure that I don't disconnect from the situation. I don't disconnect from my feelings. I don't disconnect from communicating or anything like that. Because the second I begin to back off is the second I start to tell myself, well, you're creeping back into these other ways. So in relationships with, whether it be with partners, whether it be with friends, whether it be whatever, like I am the king of like disappearing for like months on end and randomly popping
Oh, hell no.
Mm-hmm. Right. Oh no.
up. Because there would be something that's going on with me and nobody will know because I deal with my things internally. So I would take
Mm-hmm.
it back and just disconnect from everybody. So within a relationship right now, I'm making sure that I don't take a step back and kind of step into it a whole lot. That shit is difficult as hell.
So
But
what
Yeah.
tools do you use? Because if that's your defense mechanism, then it means that that's your comfort zone. It
Yeah.
means that that's actually a habit. It means that when I feel like this, my default is to do
Is to
this.
leave. Yeah.
So like, what tools do you use, or how are you creating a new habit, and what does that look like?
so so for me, I have to do a lot of like release, right?
Oh, so
Releasing.
do you mean skydiving? I'm just playing.
Exactly. No, that's 100% true, right? So when it comes to releasing of emotions, to releasing of anger, I have to do a lot of things to release this, right? So I work out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I go skydiving a lot, right? These things are things that I'm doing to kind of get things out, right? I have conversations with myself all the time because that's something that helps me get thoughts out. So my biggest thing is making sure I figure out what's the best method for me to be able to release things instead of just like blacking out and getting angry. Because I don't want to. I've had a lot of blacked out moments before in the past. Like, I'm not trying to go through those. That's like
Mm-hmm.
not cool. So,
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
were you gonna say
Oh,
something?
I was gonna ask. First I was gonna ask, how long have you been in a relationship, and how does she like affirm or help you on that path too of not going back to just ghosting?
so I've probably been in a relationship about 2.5 years, going on 3. Um, in terms of what are some of the things that she does to kind of affirm it and make sure I don't do that. Uh, just to keep it honest, she really be punking me. Like,
Sis don't be
Do
punking
tell.
me.
This is
Right.
tea time. Give us some examples, Willis.
just to keep it a buck, it's just you doing it again. Why are you doing this? And you know what you're getting into.
So she calls you out.
She calls you out on it. Yep.
And all of it, right? And I've
Accountability.
never had people call me out on my bullshit like that because
Mm.
Willis is perfect. Like outside eye, like Willis got all of this shit handled. Like Willis got things popping, like for real, for real. But to someone who kind of knows you is like, nah, you bitch, you being a little bitch right now. Like you need to do something about it. So she calls me out a whole lot. And to me, she be punking me, so to say. So I'm just like, I'm not no punk. I'm not finna sit here and back out, bow down to this. So, you know, she's figured out a way to kind of understand she's figured out a way to understand what I need in order to be able to cope. Because she can't be you can't be accountable, super accountable and super upfront with everybody. Because some people are gonna fold, some people are gonna run away. They're not really receptive to that. So she be punking me, so to say. And it works.
Hey,
Okay.
you got to
Hey,
have accountability. And they say
absolutely.
that people who hold you accountable are, they love you more than the people that are just going to let you be out here all wild.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's the question is always, what do you do with that accountability? Because some people run from accountability. So my question is, did when you used to ghost people, like you said, friends, people that you're in a relationship with, etc., did that perpetuate the idea of I'm not good enough or I'm a F up?
It 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 kind of it did, but not in a like loud way. When I say loud way, it's not like I backed off and then went into this corner and just like, I'm a fuck up and blah 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 blah. But it that was the I'm a fuck up behavior, right? That I used to get into. Just run away from things, right? I'm gonna run away from this nonsense because I don't want to mess it up, right? I was too scared to mess something up. So in order to not mess something up, I'm just gonna run away from
You just remove yourself
Ah,
from it.
got
it.
it.
Exactly. I don't want to work at this relationship because I know I'm gonna mess it up. So I'm gone.
Just leave. Okay. Just
Deuces.
out here. Bye.
It's been real.
Oh
I
wow.
holla.
That is funny. But those are defense mechanisms for sure. And
Mhm.
it's great that you can name it and you know what that defense mechanism looks like for you. And you figured out ways to cope and try to change that habit that you once had.
Mhm.
Which is really powerful, speaking as a Black man too, because I'm sure we have listeners or we know men who have certain habits,
Yep,
but
I'm just playing.
yes, girl.
I'm just playing.
But they have yet to identify what that defense mechanism is. Therefore, they haven't had the time to process it and to work through what that habit looks like.
And sometimes you just need that accountability partner, as you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't know what our defense mechanism is. Like, I'm 28. It took me probably up until like 25 to figure all that stuff out. And there are some people who are in their 30s and 40s and 50s who still haven't figured it out, and there are some people who probably
Right.
will never figure it out,
Right.
right? Some people just don't want to figure it out.
We
But
know
it takes
almost
that person to actually say, hey, I want to at least figure it out. I
So
want to at least see
what
what's
what
going
was the defining moment? Like what was the straw that broke the camel's back, or what was the turning point that made you say, you know what? I be running away from stuff when I'm scared that I'm gonna mess it up. Like when did you become aware? How did you get to the
on.
self-awareness of this defense mechanism?
My last relationship, it's always something with a woman that causes a man to like
We're mirrors, that's what we do. We're actually
here.
mirrors. I read that men are the thermostat and women are the thermometer. So men set the temperature and we simply just reflect it. I'm not saying that is true, but I'm saying that
Oh,
that's what the good pastor TD Jake said, and I
never
believe the
heard
good
that.
word
Okay.
when I hear a good word. So that's what he said. His words, not mine.
Mhm.
That's a
But
visual. I never heard that.
either way, at least we know that we're mirrors,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Exactly. So like in my last relationship, well even kind of before that, like I was aware of the fact that like I could just ghost and leave you alone and be fine with it. But I've never had ghosting and not talking about things and not communicating and stuff has never came back and bit me in the ass until my last relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So my last relationship folded in a very negative way because of how backed off it was, because of how much I wasn't communicating, because of all of these things. And once I gotten over her and figured it out, I had to take a step back and just look at it and say, like, okay, well, this XYZ happened because you just was afraid to talk about your feelings at the end of the day. So you just lashed out on her, or you just did XYZ, did whatever because you did not get certain things out, or because you decided to just back off, right? So in essence, you still fucked it up. You was trying to run away so you wouldn't fuck it up, but you still fucked it up
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day. So for me, it was when the when I get smacked in the face, or when I got smacked in the face by that relationship folding, that was so painful that I had to take a step back and really look at it. I always say that, as people get older, you can't change anyone. But the only thing that's going to change someone is the trauma that happens in their lives or how much pain they go through. So that moment right there really kind of shook my world up a bit. And I had to kind of get things in order. So that was.
That's deep.
Mhm.
And I know we're close to running out of
Darn
time.
it,
This time goes
Willis.
so fast. But I wanted to just ask you one more thing. So,
Cool.
what would the 28-year-old Willis today, who has like a phoenix rose from the ashes, say to his adolescent self? What would he say to that young man under the bridge?
Who was trying to jump in front of the train?
Yeah, the don't be so hard on yourself, and and make sure the conversation that you have with yourself is like kind. Because I talk to myself a lot, and I believe we all need to talk to ourselves. We all need to have conversations with ourselves. But what is that conversation about? For me, it used to be, and even still sometimes today, it's still kind of like, oh, Willis, you a bitch, or oh, Willis, you can't do this, or oh, Willis, if you don't jump out of this plane, you're a bitch. You're scary, and all of these things. But for me, right now, it's about, hey, Willis, the conversation that you're having with yourself, be a little bit more kind. You don't have to be so tough and so hard on you, because you're gonna win at the end of the day. Like, yeah, you may have fucked up certain things, but in the grand scheme of things, like, I am fine. Like, I am, like, my credit score is good. I got a cool little car. I can go ahead and get an apartment wherever I want to. Like, I mean, good amount of money. Like, I am fine right
We
Mm.
gonna
now.
send you a Cash App request.
I know that's right.
We
I
need
would,
to sponsor. I'm just
Listen,
playing.
can you bump my credit score up a few points? Jesus.
but like, it's just one thing that I would tell myself is the conversation that you have with yourself right now. Don't be so tough. Just be a little kind. It's gonna be all right at the end
Mm.
Mm.
That's powerful. We gonna be all right.
That brings us to the to-go box, because time always goes by fast when we're talking to Uncle Willis.
I know, right? And I feel like it's still so much more. So, I mean, if we slide in your email to have you back, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah,
You might be our resident good news therapist.
I know,
I don't
right?
know.
But I'm definitely taking away, the thoughts and the words that we tell ourselves. I think we've talked about that on the show a lot, like positively affirming ourselves, because whatever we say is what it is. Like, we believe whatever we say. That happens to me a lot. Like, when I feel like the negative thoughts like trying to come to the surface, I'm like, oh no, Chanel, like, reel it back. Like, you got this, girl. You can do this. So I think that's just a common thing that you work towards.
What are you taking away, Willis?
Sure. The one thing I want to make sure I take away from this is to continue to be kind to myself. Just be patient with myself even more. Yeah, be patient with myself, because I want everything now. I want things now. I want stuff to go down now. And it's like I have to stop trying to force everything and just kind of let things come as they are. So patience.
Nice. What about you?
My
Sherry
takeaway
Renee?
is that we are multifaceted. So to your point, we have to be kind to ourselves, right? We shouldn't be so cruel, because that was you under the bridge. That was you who wanted to jump. That was also you who graduated, from undergrad and from who got the master's degree. That was also you who started the podcast. That was also you who did, who did all these things, who has a good credit score, who has all these things. So we can't just focus on one failure and therefore call ourselves a failure and say that we're not good enough. I'm all of those things. You know what I mean? Just like me, the first 5 minutes of the podcast crying, that was me. And this is me now giving y'all, the to-go box. So all of it's me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I'm all of it. I'm good. I'm bad. I'm sad. I'm everything.
Yes.
That's me.
All authentic. Yes.
And the girl who was crying is also the girl who passed her certification last week. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still the same person, even if I'm at my lowest. It's still me. And just being able to accept all of those parts of yourself, because not only do we not want other people to pity us, but we don't want to pity ourselves. You know what I mean? We don't want to pity ourselves. You don't want people to, oh, you know what I mean? Like, nobody wants that. You know what I mean? You want people to identify with you, but you don't want to become that person, the person who had the trauma. Like, you're all of it. So you want to be accepted as all of it. So that's my takeaway, is to when you want to call out your failures, make sure you call out your successes too, because all of it is still you.
Yep.
The one thing I just kind of want to say, because it really sounds like a lot is going on in Wisconsin and Milwaukee, everything. Some shit going on over there.
Yeah.
But the one thing I want to say to, like, excuse me if I'm wrong, it's a very segregated place, right?
Yeah.
The one thing I want to say to like all of the Black folks out there, you two ladies and everyone, like no matter how much society and the media and everybody try to make you feel that you ain't shit, you are like the shit above everything else. And the thing is, we have to make sure that we are continually working and striving to be our best selves for us. We have to be good for us. We have to be kind to us for us. Not kind to us so the next person can say, hey, or so I could be accepted within this white community, or so I could be okay to go to certain things. We have to understand and come to a place to where it's like we have to be dope and we have to be happy with ourselves, even though they're killing us, even though they're out here, making us believe that we're not even worthy to live.
Mm.
We have to still continue and always fight for ourselves, fight for our people, fight for our children, our mothers, fathers, everyone. Make sure you never give up on that, because that's a very. I think a lot of us are at that place where we just want to say fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say fuck it. Like especially in situations like this, the one thing they want you to do is say fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to continue to be the dope person that you are and not say fuck it. The second you say fuck it, is the second day. So it's just one thing I
Indeed.
want to say.
That
Awesome.
was
And
dope.
that's a great way to close us
There we
out.
go. Yes.
Thanks for tuning in to Brunch with Besties podcast. Until next time.
Peace.
Peace.